All right, welcome to another deep dive. Today we are going to make you an expert quickly with absolutely no overwhelm.
That's right. And a really great place to start is with this transcript that you've shared of a YouTube video from Savoir-faire Digital. It's an introduction to Python for people who've never programmed before.
Okay, Python. So we'll take this initial look at Python and what exactly is it, and then like what can we do with it? How do we install it? And can we even get to writing and running a little bit of code?
Absolutely. By the end of this, you'll have a really solid understanding of Python and what it can do and how to get started.
Right. So first off, what is Python? The transcript uses this term, a multi-form language. What does that even mean?
That's actually a really interesting term, and it's not one that I hear very often, but it really highlights the adaptability of Python. What it means is that you can write a Python script, and it can run on Windows. It can run on a Mac. It can run on Linux. It can run on a Raspberry Pi. It can run on lots of different operating systems. So you write it once, and then you can run it anywhere, which is one of the reasons that it's so popular.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So it's adaptable. The transcript also points out that Python is free.
It is. It is completely free. You can download it. You can use it. There's no license cost. So that makes it really accessible to anyone who wants to get into programming.
Okay, so adaptable, free, and the video describes it as a high-level language. What does that mean?
Okay, so if you think about how computers operate at the most basic level, it's all ones and zeros. You know, it's like on and off switches. And there are what are called low-level languages that get very close to that machine code. Python is a high-level language, which means that it's designed to be easier for humans to read and write and understand.
Yeah. So we're not speaking ones and zeros.
Exactly. And it uses a syntax that's a lot closer to everyday language. And it has a lot of built-in tools that can handle a lot of those complex low-level operations for you. So it makes it a lot easier to code.
So less talking to the machine.
Exactly.
Now, the transcript also touches on Python being object-oriented. That sounds a bit technical.
It does. And object-oriented programming is a way of designing software by organizing code into reusable objects. So you can think of it a little bit like Legos. So, you know, each Lego brick is an object. It has its own shape. It has its own function. And then you can combine those bricks in different ways to build more complex structures. So object-oriented programming lets you kind of build your code in similar way, in a modular way, so you can reuse those objects.
So we're building code in a more structured way.
Exactly. And the video correctly notes that, you know, with object-oriented programming, you can actually model things in the real world, which you can't do in languages that are just procedural, that just execute a sequence of instructions.
Oh, okay. Now, the video mentions that major applications have been developed, partly using Python 3.
Right.
Which is, I guess, the latest version.
That's right.
So as a new programmer, should we be focusing on version 3?
Yeah, absolutely. So Python 2, which is an older version, that's actually no longer actively supported, so you don't really want to learn that. When you're starting out learning Python, you definitely want to learn Python 3. That's the current standard. That's what all the new libraries and advancements are being developed for.
Python 3. All right. Now the video moves on to the fun part, really, which is what you can do with Python. It mentions some future topics like visualization, data analysis, machine learning, even full-stack web development. That's a lot of different things.
It is. And yeah, those are all really exciting areas of technology, and Python is used in all of them. So learning the fundamentals of Python really opens up a lot of different opportunities.
Wow. Okay, so now the next practical step is actually getting Python onto your computer, and the video goes through how to install it.
It does, and the first thing is to check if you already have it. So the video suggests opening a terminal or a command prompt, which is basically just a text-based way of interacting with your computer and running a command. So for most people, it would be Python version, and that will give you the Python version number. So if you see a version number come up, then you know you already have it installed.
Okay, so what if nothing happens? Or what if it's an older version like Python 2?
Then you need to install it. So the video directs you to www.python.org downloads. That's the official Python website. And you can download the installer for whatever operating system you're using, whether it's Windows or Mac or Linux. You can also just, do a web search for Python download, and it will probably come up.
Okay, so you find it, you download it, and the video goes through, specifically for Windows, how to install it. So what are the key things there?
Okay, so once you've downloaded the file, you'll double-click it to run it. And then the video emphasizes the importance of really reviewing the installation options that are presented. Usually you can leave the first option as the default, but the important thing is to make sure that you select the option to add Python to path. And that sounds a little bit technical.
It does. Why is that so important?
It's basically telling your computer where to find Python. So if you don't add Python to the path, then when you try to run Python from the terminal or from the command prompt, it won't know where to find it. So by adding it to the path, you're basically telling your computer, hey, this is where Python is. This is where you need to go to run it.
Okay. And then what happens?
You'll click Install Now. And then if everything goes well, you should see a message that says Setup was successful. And then to check, just to make sure, you can open up the terminal or the command prompt again and run that Python version command again. And it should show you the Python version number. It might be something like 3.11.4. That was the one that was in the video.
Okay. And for those not on Windows, is it the same?
Similar. You download an installer for your specific operating system from the Python website. On Linux and Mac, Python is often already installed. It might be an older version, though, so you might still want to download and install the latest one.
Okay, so Python is successfully installed. The video then talks about IDEs, integrated development environments, and also text editors. So those sound like places where we'll be writing code.
Yes, they are.
Why start with a text editor? Wouldn't an IDE, which has like lots of tools and bells and whistles, be better?
That's a good question. And I mean, IDEs do have a lot of features, but the video's recommendation to start with a simpler text editor, I think is a good one for beginners because, when you're first starting out, you don't really need all of those extra features. And actually, they can kind of be distracting. So starting with a simple text editor just lets you focus on the core, the fundamentals, the syntax and the structure of the language without being overwhelmed by all the extra stuff.
So focus on the core principles first.
Exactly. And then, you can always move to an IDE later on once you've kind of got a good foundation.
Okay. Now, the video talks about the Python interpreter. What is that?
So the Python interpreter is an interactive environment where you can type Python code and see the results immediately. So it's a really good way to experiment and just kind of test out, small snippets of code. So to launch it, you open your terminal or command prompt and you type Python and then press enter and you should see 3 greater than signs, which means you're in the interpreter and you can type Python commands.
Okay, so we're talking to Python now, and then the video shows how you can use it almost like a calculator.
Yeah, exactly. So you can type in, mathematical expressions, and it will give you the result. So, 2 plus 2, that would give you 4.
Okay.
50, 5, 6, that will give you 20 because it follows the order of operations, multiplication before subtraction.
Right.
You can use parentheses to control the order of operations. So you can do 50, 5, 6, 4, and that would give you 5. With a decimal point because it's doing real division.
Okay.
And then 17.3, that would give you a repeating decimal. But if you do 17.3, that would give you just the whole number part of the quotient. So that would give you 5. And then the modulo operator, which is the percent sign, that will give you the remainder of a division. So 17% 3, that would give you 2.
Wow. So lots of math in Python.
Yeah.
Okay, so then the video also touches on Boolean comparisons, like, true or false.
Right. And so you can check if, a certain condition is true or false. So the video mentions this because it's important to know that in Python, if you want to check if 2 values are equal, you need to use 2 equal signs. So if you just use 1 equal sign, that's assigning a value. But if you use 2 equal signs, that's checking if they're equal. So 17 equals 5, 3 plus 2, that would return true because 17 is equal to 5 times 3 plus 2.
Okay, and then there's exponents too.
Yeah. You can do 5, 2, that's 5 squared, 5, 3, that's 5 cubed.
So lots of math. Okay, now the video also introduces the concept of variables within the interpreter.
Right.
So how do variables help us?
So variables let you store values and give them names so that you can refer to them later in your code. So for example, you could say L equals 15 and L equals 10. And then you could, perform calculations with those variables.
Okay.
So you could say surface LLL, and that would calculate the area of, a rectangle.
Right.
And then if you wanted to see the value of that variable, you would just type the name of the variable and press enter.
And it shows up.
It shows up, exactly.
Now, the video mentions adding comments to the code, and it uses this hash symbol. So should new programmers even worry about this when they're using the interpreter?
You can add comments. But it's not really necessary when you're just using the interpreter. Comments are really more useful when you're writing longer programs that you're going to save to a file.
Okay.
So comments are just notes that you can put in your code to explain what the code is doing, and anything after a hash symbol is ignored by the Python interpreter, so it's not actually executed as code.
Okay. And then it shows this cool trick, this underscore thing that it uses in the interpreter.
Right. So the underscore, that represents the results of the last operation that you performed.
Wow.
So if you do a calculation and then you want to use that result in another calculation, you can just use the underscore.
Okay.
And it shows an example of, like a shopping scenario where you calculate the sales tax and then you use the underscore to add that to the original price.
So it remembers what we just did.
Exactly. It remembers what you just did.
Wow, that's neat. Okay. And then you can also round the results of these calculations, right?
Yeah. So there's a built-in function called round.
Great.
And you can use that to round a number to a certain number of decimal places.
Right.
And you can use it with the underscore. So you could say round underscore comma 2, and that would round the last result to 2 decimal places.
Wow, that's super handy. Okay, so when we're done with the interpreter, how do we get out?
There are a couple of different ways. You can type exit with parentheses, or quit with parentheses. Or you can press Control-D or Control-Z, depending on your operating system.
Okay, so we've been playing around with this interpreter, but the video makes it clear that if we're going to write real programs that we can save and run over and over, we need to put our code into a file.
That's right. Yeah. So the interpreter is great for, quick little tests, but if you want to write, a longer program, then you need to save it to a file.
And what kind of file is this?
It's a plain text file.
Okay.
But it has a .py extension. So it would be, like myprogram.py.
Okay.
Something like that.
And it walks us through making the Hello World program. And it uses Notepad to do this?
It does, yeah. So it recommends creating a directory first.
Okay.
So, you might call it Python Club or something like that. And then you can open Notepad and create a file called hello.py. And then in that file, you would just type one line of code. It would be print parentheses, hello world.
Print hello world.
Exactly. So print is a function that displays text on the screen.
Okay.
And anything that's in the quotes is what's going to be displayed. So in this case, it's hello world.
So we save that file, and then how do we run it?
So you go back to your terminal or command prompt, and make sure that you're in the directory where you saved the file.
Okay.
And then you type Python hello.py and press enter, and that will run the program.
And then hello world appears on the screen.
That's right.
And it shows how you can change it to bonjour to du monde.
Yeah. So you can, change the text in the print statement.
Right.
And then save the file, run it again, and you'll see the new text.
Okay. And then finally it mentions using Notepad++ as a more advanced text editor, I guess.
Yeah.
What's the advantage there?
So Notepad++ has syntax highlighting, which means that different parts of your code will be displayed in different colors. So it makes it a lot easier to read. And it can also help you to spot errors.
All right, well, that brings us to the end of this deep dive. So let's summarize what we've learned. We've learned what Python is.
Right.
A very versatile language.
Yeah.
High level, object-oriented, free.
Right.
And we've seen how to install it.
Right.
We've seen how to verify the installation. We played around with the interpreter. We saw how to do some math.
Yeah.
And even wrote and ran our first Python program.
That's right.
So that's a really good start.
It is, yeah. And as the video says, it's really just the beginning. The next steps would be to learn more about the syntax of the language, learn more about variables, and then maybe start looking at some of the more advanced IDEs.
All right, so for you, the listener, now that you've seen how easy it is to get started with Python, what small problem in your daily life could you solve with this new skill? That's it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening.